Has the solar flash event ended? What happens next? Is it a gradual shift to the new Earth? Is the 3D-5D split going to start now? Is it a combination of those two? Or is there going to be an instantaneous solar flash and it just hasn't happened yet? I'm going to talk about this, so stay for the whole video because I'm going to go through some things looking at the solar flash. I'm going to be telling you what I have been receiving, direct messages I believe I've been receiving from extraterrestrials about the solar flash, about what is happening right now on planet Earth, and we're going to start looking into where things might be going. So this is the Michael Denney channel. Open contact is here. I am proof of that. Go ahead and watch my channel for the videos talking about my contact experiences with extraterrestrials. And so please, if you're interested, subscribe, like, all that good stuff helps me to stay alive as well as keep this channel going. All right, so let's take a look here. So did the solar flash end? What is next? The New Age solar flash definition, let's take a look at it. Instant global enlightenment. Not yet, not in my perception. I don't think I'm alone in that. So I didn't, look, all of this is new to me. Really, even though I'm out here now, I'm channeling extraterrestrials. I do it reluctantly. It's embarrassing for me. It's not something I ever thought that I would do. I tried it once years ago and came to the conclusion that it was nonsense. I still, to this day, every single channeler I listen to sounds like nonsense to me. They're either making it up or they're deluded or they're just talking from their unconscious. That's what it looks like to me. If I thought differently, I would tell you. So the fact that I'm doing this stuff, believing in this stuff, solar flash, channeling and all that it's crazy. But right or wrong, I am sincere. I'm not lying to you. I'm not falsely presenting anything to you. If I am deluded, then I'm not aware of it. But when it comes to the solar flash, I didn't even know what that was. I'd never heard of it. Because again, 3 years ago, 2022, June of 2022, I had my first contact experience with extraterrestrials. I did CE5, you guys know the story, and everything changed for me. And it was such an incredibly powerful experience, ongoing experience that lasted for months and years. I would be lying to you if I said I hadn't contacted and continue to communicate with extraterrestrials. That would be a lie. I tell you the truth. I do communicate with extraterrestrials, and I say it, and it feels cringy, and I'm embarrassed by it. But I'm telling you the truth. That is my experience. Whether it's true or not is another thing to think about. So when it comes to the solar flash, I knew nothing about it. I had this absolutely, completely mind-bending, reality-destroying experience that lasted up until this day, but the most intense parts of it lasted for, it feels like 6 months. Every single day for 6 months. I was being visited by extraterrestrials who were changing me energetically, astrally taking me to places. No, I was not abducted. Abductions are done by human beings pretending to be extraterrestrials. Sorry to say, those aren't real, but ETs are very real. I talk a lot about that on the channel. Go watch my videos about that if you want to learn more. So what I did get the message, the very clear message I got almost immediately after I started working with ETs, was that there was going to be a massive shift on planet Earth, a massive shift in consciousness that would completely change everything. Society, everything would change. I wasn't clear on exactly what that was. I thought it was going to happen within weeks. I had a lucid dream that was, I believe, orchestrated by higher dimensional extraterrestrials who were guiding me through this dream. The dream had some symbolism. I didn't get the feeling I was supposed to take it as being this is how things are literally going to happen, but the message was very clear. There was going to be a seemingly instantaneous shift, and that it very well might come from the sky. And so I thought it was going to happen within days or weeks. I was literally emailing people and calling people and telling them, if you don't hear from me, this is why. I'm leaving this world. I did that a second time later. I made a huge mistake. We'll get into that a little bit later. I thought I was going to get taken off this planet. That obviously hasn't happened yet. But so what is the spiritual, the New Agey spiritual understanding about the solar flash event? So the solar flash event, according to going back at least 10 years, people were calling the event the Ascension, the solar flash. What people have been saying is that there's going to be a single event where a huge flash of solar radiation coming from the sun is going to hit the Earth, and it is going to shift the frequency of all matter on Earth, shifting the Earth up to a new reality. This very powerful radiation, in fact, is going to come from what people are calling the central sun from our galaxy, and it's going to go through a wormhole into the sun and then be released as a flash of light hitting Earth, instantly shifting Earth and everything on it up to a higher frequency. So that's what people have been saying. So when I came onto my channel and I shared about this lucid dream that I had, which I was absolutely sure about, I was imagining that what was going to happen is that fleets of ET spacecraft were going to land and, come out, and everybody around the world was going to have the same kind of experience I had. Because what I came to find out very quickly is that extraterrestrials are not, little gray men that walk around in the third dimension with ray guns and have the ability to go through walls and, take you through, up into their craft and experiment on you. Those are all third dimensional realities. ETs are not three-dimensional. They are trans-dimensional. And my experience is they don't spend a lot of time in the third dimension. So when you experience them, their frequency is their energy. Their energy is coming from a higher dimension. I don't mean, I'm not talking about an alternate universe. If you need to go figure out what dimensions are, that's what I'm talking about. 99% of people, when they say alternate dimension, they really mean alternate universe. A higher dimension means that there's an extra direction. We have up, down, that's one direction. We have forward, backwards, that's another direction. We have left and right, 3 dimensions. And we travel through a 4th dimension of time. So when you have a being that's in a higher dimension, they have another direction, which means they have energy that vibrates. They have electromagnetic energy that vibrates on a much more intense level than ours. Much more. And if you can't imagine what I'm talking about, you haven't felt it. If you felt it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. When one of these beings comes into your physical presence, you can't help but feel it, and your mind will start going in circles trying to figure out what is happening, because it's an experience that is not part of our reality. That was my experience. So I was thinking that people that, higher dimensional beings were going to come to Earth, and everybody, they would just, appear in front of other people, and everybody would have the same experience I was having, and that would create an ascension. That's what I thought was going to happen. And I went onto my channel and I told people about, there's going to be this huge event and it's going to be in the sky and everybody's going to change. And somebody said, and then I said, I don't know, I think maybe I'm making that up. That sounds too crazy. Somebody said, no, that's a thing. It's called the event. It's called the solar flash. So I went and looked it up, and sure enough, I was like, oh. So I was on board because that sounded great to me. I mean, the idea of just having something externally hit you and shift you up, I was on board. Oh man, sign me up for that. Who doesn't want that? And so I then went went into meditation, and I reached out and communicated to my extraterrestrial friends, and I said, what is this solar flash thing? And I said, what is it going to be? Is it going to be a fleet of spaceships hitting Earth? And they said, no. They said, it is a series of solar waves of love that will hit the Earth, penetrate into the Earth, and shift everything up to a higher frequency. So that is what they told me. Now, I still held on to the belief that there was going to be an instantaneous shift. I loved that idea. There's a hypnotist out there, Allison Coe, and she's got some interesting videos. And one of the regressions, somebody's explaining this really amazing event where they see this flash of light and it hits the Earth and it goes through and creates this like multicolored cloud that everybody can see, and then when it hits them, it transforms them, and everything, and I thought, that sounds great to me. That's what I want. So I held on to that. I'm not so sure that that's what happened or what is going to happen. I'm open for anything. But like I said, I want to know the truth more than I want to be comfortable. So what is this thing then? So the New Age solar flash definition, instant global enlightenment, it hasn't happened yet. If that is what the solar flash is, and it is a real thing, it has not happened yet. I would be very grateful if and when it does happen. But maybe there are other things going on. So the ET's definition, as I've already told you, they said that the solar flash, they never used that term solar flash, by the way. I asked them and they responded, it's a series of solar waves of love. Now I put down here starting 12/21/22. That's important because when I asked them what the solar flash was, it was before then, and they told me it was going to be the series of solar waves of love. And then I believe this is the right date. I know it was towards the end of December. Did I put December? Yeah, December 21st, 2022. So it was towards the end of December. I believe it was the 21st. So the night of the 21st, I'm getting ready to go to bed, and ETs show up, come into my home. I can feel them, and as I was going to bed, so that was convenient. I just went into bed and closed my eyes and meditated, and these beings came and said, "We want to show you something." And I said, "Okay." I say yes to everything that they say and ask. I always say yes. It's a good idea. And so I was taken to some planet somewhere, something really far away from here. And there was like this auditorium, and there was like a stage, and there was a bunch of souls, a bunch of like people were sleeping or meditating, and their astral bodies were in this giant, amphitheater. And this light being shows up and says, "We're so glad that you're here. This is very important. We've called each and every one of you because you're, what we would call starseeds, ambassadors for the cosmos or the universe or something like that. And And then they said, and they might have all been human, for all I know. Could have all been just, human beings that were there. Maybe they were asleep, maybe they were dreaming, maybe they were meditating, I don't know. I haven't heard anybody else share this experience, but this is what I experienced. And this being, could have been people from other planets too, for all I know. But this being says that the event is starting tomorrow. We wanted you all to know it is coming tomorrow. Tomorrow is when everything changes. Go back and tell your people. So a really big deal about tomorrow, right? So I come back into my body, finish the meditation. I'm already in bed. I go, oh, that was interesting. And I close my eyes and I go to sleep. And sure enough, I wake up the next morning. And what's happened is that the sun has just come up. It's early in the morning, 6 or 7 in the morning, something like that. And as I'm, in those last stages of sleep before you wake up, right, where you're kind of in and out, my body gets slammed with this very warm, wonderful energy. And I thought, oh, a light being has just, an ET has just come into my room. And I sent out the mental message, as I always do when I feel that. Hello, welcome. I'm glad you're here. How can I help you? What would you like to talk about? No response. But I'm still getting slammed with this energy, conscious, warm energy. And I realize it's coming from the sun. Now my room is all dark. I keep it that way so I can sleep well when the sun comes up. And I get up and I go outside and I can see in the sky. I can see all of this intense energy. I can feel it. And I'm feeling like I'm in a whole other frequency, in a whole other place. The DMT naturally is going through my brain like crazy, and I'm like, whoa. So I knew what they were talking about. And it turns out that we had been hit with one of the first big solar events that has marked this current solar cycle, which is starting to wind down. And so it was just the beginning. So if you remember, after that, beginning of 23, we were getting hit with huge solar storms. Now, every time we got hit with these storms, I would feel this tremendous bliss, and the communications with light beings were off the charts, and my meditations were off the charts. And so they were saying, we had another storm, a couple months later, and bam, we got hit with this storm, and I was just off in this very blissful, I was barely in my body, and the light beings were saying, this is it. It's happening. The world is changing. There's no going back. It's never going to be the same. Everything is going to change from here on out. Now I'm feeling all this energy, and I honestly think that, tomorrow, all the governments are going to throw their guns in a ditch, and, there's just going to be peace and happiness and bliss, and people are going to be on this higher meditative state. Before this had happened, I had been taken to what we would call 5D. Some light being said, we want to show you, we want to take you to this. I thought I was going to physically get taken in a craft. That didn't happen. What did happen is that they pumped me full of energy, and I was walking around in a total different state of mind, full of peace and love, and it was absolutely amazing. I've talked about it. That happened twice. So I have some idea of what this new frequency, this new world is going to feel like, but I don't know any of the specifics of how it's going to happen. So when I'm feeling this second or third solar storm that's hitting us, and I'm off in a whole other place, I'm thinking, that's it. I'm going to stay here. It's over. And that didn't happen. The solar storm ended, and I came back down, and I was back in my normal body. And so there was this up and down for seemed like a year or more, where we were getting hit with solar storms a lot. Maybe you remember. And then my experience is that after, for the past year, now we're in 25, for the past year, things have, I haven't had any of those major, woo-woo events after being hit with solar radiation. So I've been kind of wondering, is this thing going to pick up again? I've been hoping, before we get to the end of this solar cycle 25, the solar maximum 25, that before we're going to get hit with some big, and it hasn't been the case. Things have seemed to be dropping down, and things have been a lot more normal. So that's been my experience, and I have been wondering, I wonder if the solar flash has come and gone, because the truth is they never told me it was going to be an instantaneous event. They never talked about it. They never talked about 5D. They talked about an event that everything was going to change from that moment on, that everything was going to be different, that the ultimate end goal is that people are going to be in this much higher frequency of, spirituality and love. That's the goal. That's where things are going to go. It started, and things are never going to be the same. So that doesn't say that, this instantaneous solar flash event is going to happen, as much as I want it to. That's not what they've said, and that's not what has happened. But they did say that an event was going to start, and sure enough, the next day we got hit with solar storms, and they said that the solar flash was a series of solar waves hitting the Earth. So literally what they said happened has happened. All right, so just recently, past day or so, ETs tell me that the solar waves have ended and that we won. And they told me that because I asked, because I was thinking, So in meditation, I reached out and I said, what's going on with the solar flash event? And they said, it's over. It has come and gone. And then they said, you won. You beat them. They were very emphatic about that. That I and or we had destroyed them, meaning the live guided meditations that we've been doing for the past however many years, that served that purpose. It served that purpose, and if you go back, especially if you go back and watch August 14th of, I think, 24, August 14th of 2024, very powerful event. And if I have my dates correct, that we went and we did a meditation where we sent energy directly to planet Earth from the sun. We've been doing that, doing the Huar breath. And after that meditation was very, very powerful. After that meditation, light beings showed up. They were beside themselves, celebrating. They said, you did it. You beat them. And I said, I did? He said, yeah, you beat them. It's over. They're defeated. And I'm looking around going, the world looks the same to me. I said, watch what's about to happen, like next few days. They didn't use those words, but that was the feeling. Watch what's about to happen. Just keep your eyes open. And within 24 or 48 hours, I can't remember which, our now president moved his head and avoided getting his head turned into a canoe by inches, if you remember that. He got a little ear piercing that, had his head been in a different direction, it would have been a JFK event. And when I realized that had happened, and I thought it through, and if they had turned his head into a canoe, then it would have been horrific. It would have been civil war. civil unrest at the very least, and most likely martial law and lockdowns, and it would have just been a nightmare. And I realized that that is where things were headed. And according to the light beings, when those of us who did that meditation, we actually shifted that. Believe it or don't believe it, I'm okay if it's true or not true. I'm just telling you what I believe that they told me. So, how did I get onto that? How did I get onto that? Yeah, so that the ETs have said that the solar waves have ended and that we won. So, unless I'm wrong, we don't need to do these live guided meditations in the same way for the same reasons. Now, if you've been following the meditations, they have been changing, they've been shifting. And what's been happening in the meditations, instead of us going and blasting Earth with this higher dimensional energy, lately what's been happening is we've been taken up to higher realms, and we're playing around with shifting and creating the 5D Earth. And not only that, like, we shift our frequency up, and it's like we can barely touch it. It's my experience. We're almost there. And the meditation doesn't want to end, but I have to end it, so I come back, and this feeling of, man, if I could just do something a little bit more, I could like physically shift and be in there. So that's what the meditations have been about recently. So they have told me that the solar waves have ended and that we won. So whatever it was that we were doing, those first meditations, we've accomplished that goal. Now there's a new goal coming. So I haven't talked about this in a while because, listen, I'm not interested in tooting my own horn. I really don't. I share only what I have to stay sane. But once I get it out there, I tend not to talk about it unless I have to for some reason. But one of the things, that ETs showed me before I started doing the live guided meditations, as they said, they came to me twice. And they even said, look out and you can see us. And I saw one of their ships. And they were doing that to let me know that I was getting a communication from them, that I wasn't just fantasizing. Because like everybody else that does this, I think I'm making this up. And they said, you are going to fly through the air like Superman, and you are going to be like this god who goes to Earth and sends energy, and you are going to shift the Earth with your energy. And I took that literally. And I said, I don't know, I don't understand. You guys are scaring me. I literally thought I was going to walk out onto my deck and just like Superman take off in the air. But what they were saying from their higher dimensional perspective is that I was going to, if I translated into 3D, I was going to, in my astral body, do that. Fly through the air like Superman and be a god that sends energy to the Earth and shift everything up. And so they take that literally because they're in a higher dimension. And when they see us and we go out in our astral bodies, they see that. It's as real to them as, this is to me here. So the miscommunication was, I was thinking of it in 3D terms, and their idea is 3D is a dream. 3D is nothing. This is the real reality where we are. And in this reality, you are this huge God that's bringing 5D to Earth. So that turned out, in hindsight, if we look back on it, choose to accept it or believe it, we at least have some completely unprovable evidence that that's what happened. So it looks like we accomplished that we shifted, we brought the flash along with the sun, and we shifted the Earth. And that's over. We won that battle. So now we're in something else. And the question is what? What are we in now? All right, so the ETs say that the transformation process has begun and will continue and increase. So I'm going to put a pin in that because that's the most recent, I go and I'm asking them, so tell me what's going on. If the solar flash has ended, what is happening? And, we won, and thank you, we've won. I'm happy to know that, but what is happening right now? So the way that I believe that they described it to me was like, all of this energy has been just pumped into the earth and pumped into human beings to the point where it's just, it's like, the transformation is beginning. The mitosis, the cell mitosis, the evolution is, and now is the time to just sit back and watch. Because now everything is going to start changing. Everything is going to start shifting. And it can't be stopped. We're not seeing all of it yet because it's happening, deep within our cells, deep within our energy. It hasn't completely blossomed out yet. So we're still seeing, a lot of the third dimensional stuff going on. Now, I'm not saying this because I believe it. I'm not a cult leader. I'm not telling you what to believe, and I'm not, how cults are. They make predictions, and then when the things don't happen the way they predicted, they turn around and they make up an excuse why it didn't happen. Here's what's really going on. I'm not doing that. I don't need to believe any of this stuff. I'm just reporting to you. But if we look at it, that when Trump turned his head and didn't get turned into a didn't have his head get turned into a canoe, things changed, and things are happening. I mean, there's a lot of things that aren't happening fast enough for me, and there's a lot of things that Trump is doing that I don't agree with. Vast majority of it I do. There's a small portion of stuff that I'm not happy with. So I'm not under any delusion. I'm not like a MAGA cult member. None of that is going on. But I can't deny that there has been massive transformation in the United States government. And we know that what happens in the U.S. spreads all over the world. It starts here and then spreads. And the things that have happened, in the state that I live in, weather modification has been banned. It's illegal now. There's all kinds of things happening in terms of getting rid of state tax, and there's talk about getting rid of income tax. And then, of course, what's happening at Health and Human Services. Major things are happening, and happening all over the place. Are things perfect yet? No, not by a long shot. The banks are still doing their thing. We still got the banking cartel. The elites are still in control. We still have the dark force elites that are running secret space programs and abductions and drones and all kinds of, and the false UFO disclosure, which is completely controlled by propaganda, CIA narratives. That's still going on. I would have hoped that by now that would have been exposed. That hasn't been exposed yet. So that's the reality. But the other reality is that massive changes have begun, and it looks like those changes are going to continue. And the more the time goes on, the less likely it's going to be that any of those things are going to get retracted. So maybe they're right. Maybe they're right. All right, so ETs say the transformation process has begun and will continue and increase. So what about the 3D to 5D Earth split? I don't see it. If it's here yet, I don't see it. Unless we're talking about the split in mindset. We still have, it seems to me like the woke narrative is dwindling and losing power. I think that's a fair estimate to say. Is the 3D to 5D split, is it just that? By the way, I have to be clear that ETs never use the word 5D. Did I put that in here? Yeah. The ETs never used the term 5D with me. I adopted that because that was things people said. But again, 5D is, I think, completely misunderstood because the fifth dimension is an actual spatial reality. Look, I know the reason why I harp on this is because it's a real thing. I know because I've interacted with beings whom I know are in higher dimensions, not alternate universes or any of that stuff. Most people think dimension means alternate universe, and it doesn't. There's alternate third dimensional universes, and then there's higher dimensions. These beings are in a higher dimension, which, as I said, means that their energy is far, far more intense than ours. Their emotions, far more intense than ours. The love, far more intense than the love that we're capable of experiencing. And so they've never used the term 5D. They've never really given me a term, but they talk about, they have used the word frequency. Or let me be clear, it's not like I'm speaking English with them, to the best of my knowledge. What happens is, much of the time I will get hit with that blissful but very concentrated higher dimensional electromagnetic energy. And it's a telepathic, emotional communication. It hits my body, boom, and then my brain starts to give me words, and it uses my voice and my vocabulary. So it's I may not be getting the full understanding. In fact, certainly there's got to be a lot that's lost in translation. But they have used the word frequency. Frequency shift is something that my brain has given me. They've never given me 5D or anything like that. None of that stuff has happened. So they've never talked to me, to the best of my knowledge. I've never had them talk to me about a 3D or an Earth split. That doesn't mean that they haven't communicated that to me. It just hasn't been telepathically, verbally communicated to me. And I'm saying this because I don't know exactly what is happening now and what is going to happen. We are in a transformative place and things are very touch and go, I believe. So it really depends on what we choose to do and how we choose to act. I think that's still very important. Certainly is for me. So ETs have spoken about frequency shift. ETs seem to encourage the belief in a physical separate 5D or higher frequency ascended Earth realm. This is important because, look, I've always been ever since I've been teaching spiritual practices, I've always had difficulty with the New Age crowd. They've been around forever. And it's the same thing. It's, neo-hippies who are full of a lot of emotional pain. Many of them have been horrifically psychologically wounded and damaged. I'm one of those people. I'm not judging them for that. And they're looking for some kind of comfort. And so they gravitate towards spiritual. They call things spiritual. I don't call it spiritual. I mean, I'm into energy work. I'm into energy. I'm into transformation. I don't call it spiritual. I mean, it is spiritual, but that I don't view it that way. I see it as a practical thing. Like going to the gym and working out gives me health and strength and all that. Energy work, gives me connection to other realms and to my soul and to the deities and the ancestors. It's a very practical thing for me. And if it feels good, great. I love doing things that feel good, but I often do things that don't feel good because I have a practical goal in mind. My experience with the New Age spiritual crowd is that that's not where they're coming from. They're looking for something superficial, non-specific spiritual platitudes. I just ran into this phrase recently, the collective. Because I'm not in that spiritual New Agey world, I didn't realize that that's a thing. That is a phrase that is thrown out everywhere you go, especially, channeling circles. People channel the collective. They channel for the collective. They channel the Pleiadian collective, the Arturian collective, and they talk about, and I just want to share with the collective, and I've come to the, and it's always, whenever I hear it, I always wince, and I feel like there's something about it I don't like. And what I don't like about it is that it is the opposite of what I strive for in my spiritual, energetic pursuits, which is a transformation of my identity. I'm seeking a physical, real transformation and shift. I am, the Taoists believed that they could turn themselves into immortals, turn themselves into gods. The Taoists, there are Taoists in China now, you can find them, and there are Taoists that have different focuses, but the more traditional guys will go, no, I'm training to become a god. They're very clear about it. And there's all kinds of legends of the Taoists who, after years of self-transformation and energetic transformation, they shift physically out of this reality. And that is their goal. They're not looking for enlightenment. They're not looking to be at peace. They want all those things, but they have a very practical goal. I'm of that mindset. I'm looking for something that I can physically experience and change. And, that's how I got into energetic martial arts. By the way, Tai Chi, it is a very powerful, energetic Qigong practice, but originally, the original martial art was extremely lethal and deadly. And, barely touching somebody and smashing bones to pieces and, all kinds of just horrible things, but it had to do with using supernatural energy to accomplish that. The practices, if you're doing the 5-element Mao Shan, and I may be teaching the first spirit fighting set, these things are used to fight evil spirits. Frequency-wise, like physically interact with an evil spirit and slice them to pieces and, delete their existence. You can do that because evil spirits are not souls. They're thought forms. Ghosts are also thought forms. They're not souls. Just to let you know. Going into haunted houses is one of the most ridiculous. It's like going to, talk to spiritual AI. It's not real. Ghosts are not real. They are the projections of somebody's lower psyche. Their spirit is gone. Their soul is gone. They might even be reincarnated and walking around the earth, but whatever it was that was their psyche, has been projected onto the earth, and it's walking around like an AI thinking it's a person. It's not. Just to let you know. All right, I digress. All right, so ETs do seem to encourage the belief in a physical, separate 5D Earth realm. That's why I'm talking about this. I listen to a lot of the New Agey people, and they talk about a frequency shift. Clearly, they talk about 5D, and they go, "I'm already in 5D," and to them, it's just a mindset, and that's what they think this is. I'm here to tell you, I don't know what it is. But it is my belief and my desire. I have an agenda. I want the physical, actual reality give me the opportunity, I'm going to shift myself out of this reality, disappear, and go to the other one. The question is whether or not I can do that. My experience is that the ETs have never come out and said that. They've never come out and said you can do this, you can do that. They don't do that, in my experience. If they really wanted you to do it, they would sort of dangle something that was attractive to you so that you would go after it. It's my experience of them. But they seem to, in the meditations, when I'm in the meditations, they seem to be saying, and they seem to be encouraging, that I believe I can shift into an actual higher frequency that would literally mean if you were looking at me, I would disappear and I'd be somewhere else. Now, I know this occurs because the ETs do it. I've experienced it. I've seen, at least on one occasion, I saw an actual ship manifest out of nowhere, huge ship, and then I saw it disappear into nothing. It didn't fly away, it just disappeared. It was phasing in and out of this frequency. So I've seen it. I know that, I don't know that, but I am convinced that Sasquatch does this. There's so many anecdotal evidence of people's experience of seeing them. There's the anecdotal evidence of seeing their footprints, and then their footprints disappear in the middle of a giant ice field. There's the only way that could have happened is if they disappeared or they were, yanked off of the planet somehow. And going all the way back into, before white people got to the United States, the Native Americans were saying, yeah, these are shamans. They're shapeshifters. They have their own reality that they go to, and they go back and forth. They like this one, and they're from another one. I had a personal experience with one, and while I didn't see him shift in and out of reality, in fact, I didn't even see him. My experience of him, I heard him, I physically heard him, and I talk about that, and there was no way that was a third dimensional being. No way. So I know this is a real thing. The question is whether or not I can do it. Whether or not actually shifting out of this frequency is something I can do. And this is important. And the reason why I think this is important is because my experience, when I have physical interaction with a higher dimensional being, they're physically in, even though they're in a higher frequency, they're physically in my room, and I can feel their energy, undeniable energy. I forgot where I was going with that. Oh, my experience is that destroys the third dimensional experience. My third dimensional reality comes apart. And people who have been doing this, some people have been doing the meditations, and some people have been doing the meditations, and now they're having in-person experiences, and they've disappeared. There's a few of them that are just gone. And some of them have talked about, this is just too intense, I need to take a break. And then there are other people who have come to me and said, I was going to stop working with you because it's just too intense, but I've decided to push through. And then there are other people I've seen who were really doing this, and they've gone completely bonkers. So I don't judge anybody. I mean, everybody has to go through what they have to go through. Listen, I'm not perfect myself. But the point is that my experience is that this is a frequency shift that literally will eventually shift you into another frequency that is, you would disappear. And it's important because there's so many, the New Agey crowd. The New Agey crowd is going to tell you that the shift it's a shift of mind, and it's just, I'm just in a happier place, and I'm just not focused on all that negativity. Forgive me, I'm making fun of them, but the reality is what I'm hearing is a denial. I'm hearing I don't want. And again, when I listen to the channelers and I listen to that crowd, and I barely do it, I just do it to check in to see, what am I getting myself into by being a channeler? And what I'm hearing is that what they want is they want to be told that they can make money, that they can be safe, that they can heal. They want to hear third dimensional stuff. Positivity, but third dimensional positivity. And so I think there are people who resist this idea because what's really going on, I'm guessing, is that they don't want to be destroyed. Their three-dimensional identity is holding on, and they've just spiritualized it. This is what people do with drugs. They spiritualize drugs. They smoke weed and say, I'm just meditating. And that's not what's happening at all. Just for example. So the ETs seem to me, this is just my belief and my experience, that they seem to encourage the belief in a physical, separate 5D Earth realm. Interdimensional meditations, as I've said, seem to encourage the belief in an actual alternate physical reality. Okay, so I just said that, and as I said that, I got hit with energy. That's them saying, yep, there's an alternate physical reality. That's my experience, is what they seem to be telling me. Not just a higher brain mind frequency, like an actual, which means the death of the third dimensional ego. It means a very difficult, potentially challenging, traumatic experience. Latest messages to me. We are coming to take you home soon. I can feel some energy as I say that. I don't know what that means. I got to be honest with you, it's a little frightening. It sounds like they're saying I might physically, keel over. And that's not something that I'm looking forward to. I don't want that. It is true, and it has been true, especially since I started working with ETs, that this world has very little appeal to me. The only thing that I want in this world is nature and surfing, and if I could find it again, love. If I had those three things and you put me on a desert island somewhere, as long as I have a surfboard and food to eat, I would be happy. I would enjoy that. But I don't get anything out of anything else. The whole idea of success, the whole idea of wealth is just ridiculous to me now. It is so ridiculous to me. The whole idea of money is just so ridiculous. And at the same time, at this moment as I'm talking to you, I'm broke. I got nothing. I've got enough money saved up for upcoming rent, and I don't have a whole lot. Normally that would be a very frightening place to be, and it's challenging because I put a lot of effort into this channel, a lot of effort, and still the majority of people just watch for free. And why should they do anything else? If I give them videos every day, it doesn't cost them anything. Why should they pay for it? And no matter how many products I put on thunderwizard.com, no matter how many different ways to subscribe and interact with me, it just sort of stays right at that where I'm just barely able to survive. And maybe that's just the point. But I have everything that I need, and since money is ridiculous, it doesn't matter. But if it weren't for that, if it weren't for the actual physical reality that if I didn't have money, I wouldn't be able to eat, I wouldn't waste any time. I don't care about it. Absolutely don't care about it. So it's true that I don't have a lot of attachment to this world anymore. So when I hear that, we're taking you home soon, it makes me wonder. It makes me wonder if I'm going to disappear. One of the things they said to me a couple years ago, right around the time that they told me that I was going to fly through the air like Superman, They also said that people are going to think you died. And I had no idea what that meant. I'm still wondering what that meant. It sounds like I'm not going to die. I'm going to physically shift to a higher frequency. I'm not saying that because I have any confidence that I can do that. I just want to be clear. I'm not saying that from some place of I'm about to. I don't have that feeling at all. I'm as human as anybody else. Very human. And I still have all the human things. I mean, I'm 61 years old. I've still got, age-related issues are starting to creep in. So I'm just as limited as anybody else. I would love to be able to shift out and come back. If I could do that, that would be amazing. I would teach everybody. If I knew how to do like the Sasquatch thing and shift in and out of this frequency and go to another actual completely different world frequency without all the human nonsense and come back, I would do it. And if you let me, I would do it to, freak the hell out of the evil people. I would just show up in their secret bunkers, and I would and I would disappear, and I would do everything I could to freak the hell out of them. I might not be allowed to do that, but I would do it. Might be dangerous too. They might have some thing where they could zap me with this force field or something. So that might be a bad idea. But that's something that I'm when they talk to me like that and they say things like that, people are going to think you died. We're going to take you home soon. Those kinds of things, I start to think, assuming that I'm interpreting it correctly. But I'm more and more inclined to start working towards that. And in the meditations that we're doing, in these meditations, I'm teaching you guys visualization meditation about, spinning balls around your head, balls of light. That's one that they gave me, and I feel something when I do that. So maybe. Oops. We're coming to take you home soon. So one of the other latest ones is you're going to become very powerful on Earth. So that's kind of confusing. If I'm going to be taken home, people are going to think I died. How is that going to make me powerful? So I put in the word the term you're going to be very powerful, but that's not exactly. That is it. But also words like you're going to be huge, you're going to be famous, you're going to be talking to heads of state about us. I'm not saying that as a prediction. That sounds totally impossible to me. I'm only telling you what I believe they're saying. I don't think I'm deluded because I'm not. I have a hard time believing that, and I'm not emotionally attached to that. There is a part of me that would get off on that, and I would milk it for all it was worth, and in the desire of shifting this world and saving as many people as possible from this third dimensional reality. But I don't feel like I have an ego need or connection about that. And I'm saying that not as a prediction because, if I come back here in a year and I'm still as, poor and unpopular as I am now, I'll be the first to admit it. I won't need to admit it. You'll know it. You'll see it. I won't have to admit it. But I'm just telling you guys again, I'm just telling you what I believe I'm being told. I also know that it's possible to delude oneself. I also know it's possible to project onto the communications. I also know it's possible to misinterpret. I've misinterpreted, I have projected. There are things that, and sometimes they get things wrong. Sometimes they're not correct. There are things that they've told me very clearly I'm not going to get into the details, that did not happen or haven't happened yet. The opposite has happened. So I think sometimes they may not know, or maybe they're seeing a probable reality and I'm not manifesting that particular probable reality, that was something that could have happened. I don't know. All right, so that's where I'm at. Latest messages to me: we're coming to take you home soon. You're going to become very powerful on Earth. And unspoken, energetically very encouraged to believe in a physical alternate frequency reality, that if you're in it, you're not in this one. So unlike what the New Age people are saying, that the shift is there are people who are going to have some negativity, and they're going to be and then there are people who are going to be positive, and we're going to live in the positivity, and those are the 5D people. That's not the message I'm getting at all. If that's what's really going on, then so be it. But I am getting the message, and I'm frustrated because I'm not seeing it. I haven't seen it yet. But I have been getting the message that this third dimensional reality is going to be deleted. And I'll end with this, because even though I said they have not told me verbally that there's going to be an Earth split. I have gotten some other communications, nonverbal communications, that symbolically are very clear that there's going to be three harmonic frequencies, and each of them are different. They're different worlds. They're physical, separate, different worlds. I haven't seen that yet. I look at the world and I have a hard time believing that that's even possible. But that's where I'm at. That's what I've been told. Information is out there. You can do with it what you want. Going forward, as long as I'm able to, I am going to continue to make my goal, and I'm going to continue to muster up once I muster up the commitment, then nothing will be able to stop me. I'm going to work to muster up the commitment to focus on learning how to shift out of this reality. And if possible, come back. That's going to be my goal. So if you want to be a part of that, I encourage you to join me. ThunderWizard.com is where you go to get the energy. This isn't, again, new agey stuff where it's just all about being in a happy place. You need energy. You need actual energy to shift your frequency and open up the meridians of your body. ThunderWizard.com, the shop as well as the subscriptions, has that. The channeling that I do, again, it's cringy for me, but I'm not just going into a trance state and just sort of babbling, verbally, whatever the hell comes out of my unconscious. I know, because I've done that before, and I think that's what most people are doing. I'm not doing that. When I do these channelings, energy shows up, beings show up, and I interpret the energy and the communications that come out. So if you'd like that, go to channel.thunderwizard.com. If you want to read my books, you've been watching my channel this whole time, you haven't even bothered to even read my books, and you comment on my videos, go to michaeldenney.org and see the links so you can see all my books. 2 of them are about extraterrestrials and my experiences of them. Please be very good to yourselves, my friend. I love you. In an hour and a half, we're going to do a live channeling if you want to be a part of it. If so, I will see you later. Please be very good to yourselves. I love you and appreciate you. Thank you for listening.